Hello and welcome to another session of India Employer Forum's Samvaad, a dialogue series where we bring together leaders to explore the changing world of work. I'm Dhiren Makhija from Teamly Services, and I'll be your host and moderator for today's conversation, aligning financial strategy with operational excellence. For those joining us for the first time, India Employer Forum is a non-profit community that discusses, understands, and documents the many aspects of employment, employability, and ease of doing business, especially as we head towards India at 100. TeamLease is a knowledge partner providing expertise, research, and insights across multiple IEF events, webinars, and other initiatives. To set the context for today's discussion, financial leaders are no longer limited to traditional roles of budgeting and financial reporting. Instead, they are increasingly expected to act as strategic partners who guide businesses with respect to decisions, data driven, and enable sustainable growth. Every organization navigates through this economic uncertainty and goes through its own competitive pressures as such, and that's where financial strategy plays a very critical role. In today's edition of our discussion, we will speak with Mr. Mayank Sharma from ZS. He's been a professional working around the strategic finance piece, operational performance, and aiding growth strategy to a very large extent. Hello and welcome to another session of India Employer Forum's Samvaad, a dialogue series where we bring together leaders to explore the changing world of work. I'm Dhiren Makhija from Teamly Services, and I'll be your host and moderator for today's conversation, aligning financial strategy with operational excellence. For those joining us for the first time, India Employer Forum is a non-profit community that discusses, understands, and documents the many aspects of employment, employability, and ease of doing business, especially as we head towards India at 100. TeamLease is a knowledge partner providing expertise, research, and insights across multiple IEF events, webinars, and other initiatives. To set the context for today's discussion, financial leaders are no longer limited to traditional roles of budgeting and financial reporting. Instead, they are increasingly expected to act as strategic partners who guide businesses with respect to decisions, data driven, and enable sustainable growth. Every organization navigates through this economic uncertainty and goes through its own competitive pressures as such, and that's where financial strategy plays a very critical role. In today's edition of our discussion, we will speak with Mr. Mayank Sharma from ZS. He's been a professional working around the strategic finance piece, operational performance, and aiding growth strategy to a very large extent. So, Mr. Mayank, welcome to today's session and thank you for taking the time out.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Excellent. So, Mayank, I think one of the first questions that comes to mind to most of them who understand that finance goes hand in hand with operational excellence and the likes is that in the current environment, especially if I'm to take where ZS operates, right, it's a high stake consulting environment where the project really demands rapid scale, could be upward or even you're downsizing as and when required. So, from a strategic finance perspective, how do you build a resilient cost structure that allows businesses to chase those big wins without really being a little worried about the financial risk or over leveraging themselves?
Thank you, Darren, for the question. So, like you're right, I think the strategic consulting companies that we are operating and the kind of client and the project we are trying to support, it's very important to remain lean and agile in today's environment. We want to chase the big wins. We want to do those high stake, impactful work for our clients, but that also requires to maintain a workforce which can deliver it. Now the problem with maintaining that workforce is that it's a high cost workforce that you have to maintain. And if you do not win or if your business scales down, it poses another risk for the business that you may not be able to ramp down your cost immediately as you lose the business or if there's a downturn to hit. The idea is to keep your fixed cost limited as much as possible and have a workforce or a cost structure which is resilient to the business environment and can be scaled up or down as business requires. In ZS, how do we do that? Or probably most of the consulting firm they're doing right now is based on the contingent workforce, we call them. So there is a
Mhm.
core that you really, really believe in, your company's mission and vision, where you want to support your client and create an impact in certain ways. You maintain that core as strong as possible, and you are willing to pay the price for it. Usually, it's not the pay the price, because your core will continue to grow as you support clients and businesses and the environment. But then you want to expand, explore, do innovation, do get into the areas where you are probably not that established, and then want to have a wider look at the organization or the industry or the geography. That's when we try to leverage a contingent or a variable workforce, where we import, as to say, the skills that we require. We experiment with our clients or with the project that we want to win. And if it's successful, we try to convert those contingent workforce into our core. It's a long-term process. I think the idea is to balance where we want to be, how do we want to chase business, and how do you want to protect ourselves. So it is neither one. I mean, the answer is not that simple. Okay, we'll do this and we will not do this. You have to protect your core, you have to protect your cost and the organization. At the same time, to stay relevant in the business, you have to chase your uncharted territories and areas. And that's when you have to figure out how will you manage the cost impact of those exploration that you're going to do, and have a backup plan. If things go south, where will you draw the line that you will not fall below that?
Got it. Very interesting, Mayank. I like the way you actually highlighted about the contingent workforce because most of us are cognizant of this being prevalent primarily in places where there is a spike in demand or the likes. Could be in your FMCD or the likes, where during summers your AC sales spikes up. It's very interesting to hear that even at ZS, you primarily have a contingent workforce and approach clients on lines of it. So, approximately what percentage of the projects would be managed? See, I'm sure these contingent workforce that come in have their own levels of checks and quality and the likes, which you guys must be ensuring to have the right kind of deliverables. But what kind of percentage of the workforce that works on projects would be around the contingent and what would be around your core?
I think majority still remains the core for CS. As you said, the consulting is not an all-out contingent or variable workforce. You have to have, and like just to take a detour into it, it is important to have a core or your own workforce to keep the culture and the impact and the client satisfaction intact. The moment you go too much into contingent and variable workforce, it dilutes your own culture and mission and vision. So it still remains at largely somewhere around 8 to 10%, not beyond that. And
Got it.
we don't really go for all the projects completely supported by our contingent workforce. They play the grease or the oil
Support.
in the system, where we have to deliver with our own workforce the strategies and the impact that we want to create for our clients. But then there are certain skills that we are not ready to invest in. And those niche skills we want to import from the outside markets, or probably from freelancers or contingent workforce.
Got it. No, aptly put. I think they play a very critical support role as such, with the core primarily being with ZS itself. Um, in fact, an extension of this whole discussion could be, Mayank, that typically there is a lag between signing a contract or a deal with a client and you ensuring that it gets to the billing stage. Uh, One of the reasons around there could be getting the right kind of talent or people to actually start the whole billing cycle, right?
Yeah.
So, as a finance director and your critical role, how do you find ways to shorten this whole period of your unbilled window? So, if you could just share insights on how do you approach that, that would be interesting.
Now, I think, like, going back to again the core and non-core. So it's not an easy call to make, but with all your models and technology and the scenario-based planning and everything that we try to do, the idea is to protect your core, because that's what you are known for. Your client really values that piece. So you have to have people who can immediately start as soon as you win something, and those are the regular wins that you have in the market, because you deliver the impact to your clients, and they're always comfortable coming back to you for the core work. So you secure your core, have a bench if you have to. I mean, we want to stay agile as much as we can because again, there's a cost portion of it, but you have to protect your core. And every time you win your core, you have to deliver it as soon as possible. It does become a challenge. The point you raised that you have a really new work, new market, new geography, new client where you're exploring, negotiating for a long period of time, never had the visibility when you're going to win. And suddenly you have a deal signed, but you do not have the people aligned to it. Then you have to probably source it from the market, or probably try to internalize something and reallocate people. How it helps if you have people, if you can develop your people into multi skills, they can be comfortable beyond their core skills. Somebody is good at, let's say, forecasting or reporting work for the client, but they can also build something at a small scale level. Those
Mhm.
things help you kickstart the work as soon as it is signed, and then you can build on it either by hiring or by bringing the contingent workforce, or probably do a mix and match of both.
Got it. I like the point that you actually highlighted on skill development that could play a very, very critical role, primarily to ensure that the client is not hurt and at the same time operations are very streamlined. That's nice. um, I'm just trying to think of a business scenario right now where you might have the business leaders who want to take a certain amount of risk, right? But I know finance plays a very critical role to ensure that you mitigate the risk and you foresee the possible pitfalls better than a business leader. So, when it comes to this whole flexible staffing model, which acts as a bridge, can you help us understand what are the key things that you would keep in mind, keeping tentative spike or any data driven model or the likes that helps you take the right decision and guide the business better?
I think the point you made at the last is the data driven. So you have to have data stored in such a way which gives you the right insight at the right time. The problem with the contingent workforce is that you don't want this to be misused or overused. If not misused, probably misuse is a wrong word, but not overused or being deployed without having a proper strategy around. As I said, if it is your core work, make sure that you always hire the right talent for your core work. If you see an opportunity and backed up by the data that you have, the forecasting models or the past trends that you have seen, if you see that there is a good opportunity to be explored upon and there's a higher likelihood of winning it, exploring it and going beyond it, you probably hire a talent, internalize them with the culture. Like for ZS, we want to internalize them with the ZS culture, the things that we value in, the kind of vision and vision we want them to have and deliver impact for the client. The contingent should always be a contingency. It cannot become, at least for us, I'm trying to say, and most consulting companies probably would agree with it, that we do not want this to become a permanent strategy to deliver short-term work. Otherwise, you will always play the catch-up role in there. So having those data-driven decision making is very, very important. Everything that you try to do, everything that you explore in the market with your client, with the new client, old client, it has to go back to a synchronized data system which generates insights for you and tells you, okay, which are the areas which look promising, and we can take some probably a high risk but calculated bet on it.
Got it. I think that's very, very insightful, Mayank. When it comes to actually deliverables of a project, right? As we discussed, that hey, getting the right team primarily to ensure that the delivery starts and the billing really starts. There is also a very critical phase. While I know this possibly is an HR related question, I'd love to hear your thoughts primarily from the ZS Group perspective. You must be investing a lot with respect to the team, the employees, and the likes to ensure that they upskill. In fact, one of your point also was the multi-skill development that you do. So just want to understand from your perspective, what are the different programs that are run? How do you ensure that the team is to date with respect to what the market really demands and the likes?
So yes, invest very heavily on people development, to be honest. We always look for what is the latest trends that are going on, what are the new technologies that we can have people being trained on, what are the ways, and the human ways I'm talking about, if there is a new learning curve, learning environment that we can create for our people. We call it something evolve internally, and we always want our people to keep evolving. The idea is to have first create the depth in the line of work that you are in, and then you can have a spread beyond it. Because once you have the depth, you anchor yourself something which you can always go back to if other things are not working out. But at the same time, if you really want to evolve and expand yourself as a professional, whether being the tech consulting or the business consulting or the strategy consulting, people need to move around, try different things, work with different leaders, different clients, and deliver those different high impact projects, which creates a real time learning. And to back it up, for the evolve purpose that I'm talking about, we have those training and development program. Keep evolving. Our HR team works relentlessly to create those programs, the new technologies, the new ways. The AI is probably the buzzword that is going around. How to integrate AI into your day-to-day job and then use the AI for transformation as well. So it's like a long ecosystem that has to work within the company to make it happen.
Got it, Mayank. Really appreciate this. I like the term evolve and how you look at the team contributing via continuous evolution, right? You use the right term AI. I guess that's a buzzword doing the rounds, and we all are trying to deploy it in our own little ways, some being a little more successful than the others. So I'm sure even you possibly leverage on AI with respect to your current role, and at a ZS level, AI would be used in multiple ways. So if you could just throw some light on how y'all are leveraging on AI, that would be very insightful.
I think if we talk about AI, there are different ways of AI. So first is the AI itself, then came the generative AI, then came the agentic AI, and it's probably not stopping anywhere. And our businesses team, people who are delivering impact to the client, they are using it in much more wider and impactful ways with tech experts. Keep drawing those agents for their work. I can talk about more specifically finance and probably for my team. I have a three-way or like a three-step model that I'm trying to give to my team in here. So AI
Okay.
starts with your day-to-day job. As simple as drafting your emails, drafting a good response to a situation, and so on and so forth. So anything that you can use AI to help yourself, that builds your muscles, that builds your memory, how to use a latest technology that can take you really ahead of others and your peer. So the first step, if you really want to get into AI, is to use it for your day-to-day task and things and everything. The next step, once you become more and more comfortable with it, the next step is how can you use the AI to automate your processes. That's another piece of it. The next logical step move forward is to, okay, you are more comfortable working with AI for your day-to-day individual task. Now you have processes that you think AI can touch and make them better. And then the logical step or the conclusion of AI, which is currently in the market, is the transformation. It's a big word for me, and I use it very carefully because that's something, transformation is something you have really changed the way you look, either how you deliver the impact or how you deliver the outputs and everything. And it has to have clear, visible, and significant either the process gain or the output gain for yourself.
Got it. Aptly put. I think if you can get some of your daily tasks taken care of and automate processes, it gives you a lot more free time to primarily think at a more strategic level and act in accordance with the whole thing. Um, if I'm to just ask you one of the interesting instances of yours um, where there have been a conflicting view primarily from the business side and the finance side. And how did you guys go about resolving that? Because the reason I asked this question, Mayank, is in every business, right? As we said, that there are some gaps. So just want to understand that if there's anything interesting and how you guided the whole team to actually see the the right side of the decision and then process things from there.
I mean, if I have to talk about business and finance, I think the philosophies are always contradicting. They want to more explore, try everything possible, which will probably give them the momentum. And finance always looks at from the point of view, are we in a process going to kill ourselves or not? I mean, you need to save yourself for first, and then probably explore things. And the way you said in the beginning, the finance is no longer a function which probably just report numbers, do budgeting and planning, and probably talk about compliance alone. There's a lot more and a greater partnership that you have to do with the business. So, without taking too many details into things, in our businesses, in the consulting environment, especially after COVID and things are moving too fast initially and then suddenly slowing down. There are business leaders who want to explore new markets, new clients, new projects, new kind of work, blockchain, generative AI, agentic AI, building too many things based on AI, which is all good and nice. The finance perspective is how much investment you want to make and what is the point of no return. So you can keep investing some money and you have to have money to create some output around it, and that's how finance sees it. Okay, we will fund certain things for you, but then it has to come to a point whether we really commit ourselves all in, like we make more investments and you really see it through, or you come to a point and say, okay, we probably are not gonna do anything good into it, and it may just run into a sunk cost, and then we back out ourselves. So it's important to answer your question. It's important for finance to not say outright no to anything which sounds risky, because if you talk about finance, everything will sound risky. There is no safer bet in the businesses. You
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
understand and believe in some of the mission that your business leaders are trying to drive, the impacts they're trying to create in the market or for their client, but also draw those lines in between and make them aware. I mean, it's not a decision that finance need to make. If you educate people enough, make them understand the downsides of it and what can kill you in the longer run or in the shorter run, they will understand the impact, and we both come to a point, as I said, the point of no return, and make a mutual decisions whether we want to commit all in or we want to retract ourselves and try to focus somewhere else.
Got it. So, Mayank, you actually very nicely highlighted what the current role of finance is with keeping business in mind. Um, I'm now going to take a step back again and actually link it back with AI. So, do you see the role of finance changing in due course? Because a lot of inputs also come for businesses right now, leveraging on AI, right? While I'm cognizant that it's not going to be easy to replace the finance strategy role in the long run, but just your inputs on how do you see this relationship shaping for the years to come? While currently it primarily the business is pursuing a lot more aggressive deals and finance playing a critical role to ensure that the right ones come in. So how do you see this shaping over the next 5, 10 years, 15 years to come?
I think the way, and I think I have a very extreme view of it. Again, the way you said it's probably 5 to 10 years, and I could be completely wrong. The technology itself changes in 3 years' time, and you don't know what is the next phase lies ahead of you. But the way I see things, and I call it so. It's a shift from a traditional pyramid that we have in any organization that you want to have to leverage the right level of cost, support, and delivery model. People believe in pyramid, which is a proper shape pyramid. And I strongly believe, especially for finance function for sure, but I think this rule applies to every function in businesses, especially in the consulting firm, that it will shift to a diamond shape organization. It will no longer be a pyramid. What I mean by is that you are going to leverage AI and the advanced technologies to do a lot of legwork for which we hire junior people right now. I think those jobs are probably going to go away or shrink, if not go away. Cannot go completely, at least at this point in time. My view is that you still need human to run some buttons to make it happen. But those jobs will shrink. So your bottom layer will shrink. That doesn't mean your cost is going to go up, because that shrinking basically means something that a human was doing, an agent will do or an AI will do. And then you need a very strong layer in middle to make those early decisions, flags, escalations, and everything that's going to come into picture because of the higher use of the technology, which may not be perfect, by the way. So some expertise, some experienced people to guide it through with the narrow passage of decision making. And then again, the shrinking pyramid at the top, which is the leaders who are going to make decisions based on the input of the middle layer. So the biggest shift in the industry, in the services industry, I'm not too sure about the manufacturing, is going to be a traditional pyramid shifting to a diamond shape, where a lot of low-level work being done by the technology could be AI or something else in the future, and then the strong middle-level support which feeds the technology and also feeds the leaders to make decisions.
Got it. I like the way you actually have foreseen a triangle moving to a diamond. I coincidentally came across one of these articles where it said how AI will play a very critical role at the lower rung and aid the other critical parts. Very interesting. So if I was to ask Mayank, saying that, hey, which is the next big bet that you would be taking from the perspective of services delivery that you would be doing, which sectors would you say you would see a significant upside over the next 3 to 5 years?
two sectors, and I don't know, like it's from the services industry or not, but there's a lot. And if I talk about India specifically, there's a lot on the agriculture sector, to be honest. This use of technology with the massive land parcels and the economy, which is still hugely dependent on the agriculture, there is going to be a massive demand and growth and impact going to come in next 5 to 10 years. I mean, I'm not saying our agriculture is behind. There already a lot of use of technology and implementation out there, but still has not been penetrated enough given our land parcel and the population. So there's a lot of things going to be in that particular sector. And then with another related area is the green energy or the sustainable finance or the sustainable energy output that whatever you want to call it in the larger scheme of things, going to have a bigger impact in there. And where the services industry, especially with the technology and the consulting blend, going to play a big role is to find those opportunities, mix the right blend of it, where to create an impact and deliver those solutions to the clients.
Got it. I definitely expected green energy as one of your answers, but agriculture came as a surprise to me. I expected to be either the EMC or the likes your manufacturing sector where the government has been uh, putting in a lot of effort right now. So that's very interesting. Great, Mayank. So Mayank, it brings me down to one of my last questions as such. Um, as we look ahead with the global landscape, right? Um, do you primarily see the finance office of the future advocating primarily working with much leaner teams and keeping only the strategical intellectual property within the organization and permanent staff handling that and outsourcing a lot more? Or do you believe that the current model of ZS or the likes primarily would continue to persist for a while to come?
I think the current model will persist for the likes to come, at least for next 3 to 4 years. I would say. And I have a contra view on that. So more than outsourcing, the outsourcing for the finance functions will shrink a lot. And the reason I say that, I could be wrong to be honest, but it's a theory or the hypothesis that I have. With the help of technology, there will not be much to outsource. If you use the right technology, blend to your processes and systems accurately, you will only need the core and the strategic thinker group within the organization. A lot can be done by the technology, and then you can have a support staff to run the function yourself rather than outsourcing. It will be far more cohesive, integrated, and impactful rather than outsourcing to a third party, which may lag the decision making and so on and so forth. So my view is that it will run as is for some more time. Maybe outsourcing will win in the short term in next 3 to 5 years because people who have like CSS doesn't have a big large finance function, but there are organizations running a really huge finance function and they are more tempted to outsource it, not trying to have the headache of maintaining a workforce and the people and their benefits and everything. But I think for the mid-size finance function and the small-size math finance function, use of technology is going to be really, really impactful and a path-breaking way of integrating your finance functions and not letting it grow beyond a certain size, still supporting the growth of your businesses. So let's say ZS can be double the current size. That doesn't mean the finance function need to get double at the same time. You can probably go only 10 to 20% with the right use of technology and double and support the double the growth of the ZS business.
Got it. No, completely with you on it. Op leverage is primarily what will kick in, and I think that's another key buzzword,
Yeah.
which we all need to ensure that we get our act right. So great, Mayank. I would love to continue the discussion for a longer time, but thank you so much for taking the time out. Your insights around how AI plays a role currently with respect to the finance perspective, the way you foresee the triangle primarily comprising of your costs, your support, and the delivery piece now moving towards a diamond was extremely insightful. GS's terminology of evolve internally primarily really helps us foresee how you all are looking at things to come. And the two sectors that you said, I think we're going to pick on that and see what more can come out in the agri sector. So thanks again, Mayank, for taking the time out and look forward to another interaction with you in due course.
Thank you so much, Dhiren, for inviting me. And it was really a good conversation to have with you.